My last name is Morning Sky. 2 words. If you put them together, I become Polish. Morninski. Morning Sky.
Is that a carved train?
Is it a Morninski? Actually, it was this morning was the first time I heard this one. I was called Morning Robert Sky by, of all people, Mary. So, yeah, what I would like to do is I am going to try to use some visuals. It was funny because last night at the lecture, Jacoby and Lee were doing some of the very same things I do in my workshops. I fascinated with some of their techniques, but I want to give you some visuals. I want to give you some linguistic data. I want to take you into the realm of the bear. For those of you who were not there last night, I want to use this analogy to go to support it. If here's the bear. Now, if this gentleman here, he is, we know, the bear, right? Now, if I were to ask this lady about this individual, she might very well say, the bear is a nice, gentle, compassionate beast of nature. He's one with the universe. This is a gentle beast. You turn around and ask this lady over here, and she might say, well, the bear is this nasty, rotten, evil carnivore. My question to the group last night, and to those of you who aren't here, is, nice, gentle, compassionate beast of nature is her truth. Evil, nasty, rotten carnivore is her truth. My question is, what is the truth? Is it a combination of the two? Is it somewhere in between? Do we need to poll the entire universe to get an honest opinion of what the truth is? My answer, my suggested answer to you, it is not her truth and her truth combined in between. The truth is simply the bear. The bear simply is. He's not good, he's not bad, he's not evil, he's not kind, he just is. That's the truth. What I want to today pursue is what I'm going to couch very carefully as the truth. I'm going to suggest it's the truth. You decide. You look at it, and if nobody bails out on me, it'll be the first time. Oh, really? I have to hide in there. They are. Find out. So, what I'm going to do is I need to, in the first segment, I need to get you to suspend disbelief. I need to get you to try to be as open as possible. My understanding of the club of choice, and because some of you are back here a second time, you do have an open mind. But I want to take you back. I'm not going to get into the history of the Star Elder at the moment. We'll do that in the second segment. What I first want to do is to build a foundation of something you've probably never heard in your life, which is the history of our galaxy. The history begins with a small point that supposedly exploded. And from this tiny little pinpoint, boom, the Big Bang. And according to scientists, astronomers, all of our brilliant scholars, the Big Bang contained all the stuff of our universe. Now, the Big Bang, according to our scientists, occurred approximately, 15.5 billion years ago. That's the common consensus, the common thought. But if any of you have read Newsweek magazine, Time, any of the new science magazines, Discover and Omni, you're going to find they have a problem because they are finding out that there are stars that, according to the very same techniques, now measure over 20 billion years of age. All right, now here's the problem. How can you have the Big Bang 15.5 billion years ago and you've got stars 20 billion years old? And they're coming up with all kinds of excuses. The data is wrong, the measurements were wrong, these scientists are wrong, and so they're having this little battle because it doesn't fit. Well, here's a simple solution proposed to us by the Star Elder. There wasn't one Big Bang. There were several. Now, you and I'm going to assume, are not brilliant MIT scientists that have spent 20, 30, 40 years studying all this stuff, and you and I figured it out. There wasn't one. There were several. And what's happening is, there was another Big Bang over here, and it threw out stuff, and now we got 20 billion-year-old stars that are beginning to intermingle into our, what? Universe. Each Big Bang produced its own universe. Some are 20 billion, 40 billion, 50 billion, several hundred billion years old. So, number one example of man's arrogance. I'm a scientist and I know it. There was only one. Only one. The arrogant. Our scientific mind would say only one. Alright. Let's stick with just our Big Bang, our big universe. Boom! The stuff exploded and it spread out. And unfortunately, the concept that the universe is full of stuff is wrong. It's not. It's like a big, stringy, gooey mass of spaghetti that got thrown out there, and in between these long strands of stuff, there's nothing. There's a void. As the stuff was thrown outward from the Big Bang point, some of it started to gather together and swirl. And it formed stars. It formed galaxies. And I want to condense billions of years into a few minutes here, and I want to talk about one tiny little galaxy, one swirling, spinning galaxy that is called Eridanus. Eridanus. Eridanus is the name of our galaxy. It's a very, very old name, and as a matter of fact, you will find it in Greek writings, you'll find it in Roman writings. Eripanus, Eridanus. Eridanus is enormous. It is one of billions and billions of galaxies. But I did that pretty good, I thought. What I want to do is I'm going to put the center of this galaxy, our galaxy, right here. And the spinning stars begin to, as they were, follow the way, you should put a table there, all the way to the outer edges of the galaxy. Right? But approximately 2/3 of the way out, in one of those long swirling arms, right smack right here, life evolved. There was the right mixture of gases, the spark of lightning, everything was right. Boom! Life was born. One cell became two, became multi-celled, it became jellyfish, it became fishes. Some of them crawled up on the beaches of this little planet that formed of a star, and then it stood upright and it evolved into a humanoid. This is humanoid. Alright? A head, arms, legs, and a torso. We, arrogant humans, say we're humans. We're humanoid. But point of fact, if you have, I'm sure you're familiar with the evolutionary formula, it says that somewhere between that first cell and us humans, there was an ape. You plug in an ape down here, and you end up with ultimately what is a hairless ape. That's what we're supposed to be. Well, some of us more than others. A hairless ape. But on this, in this star system, on this planet, instead of plugging in an ape, you need to plug in a small dinosaur. A reptile who evolves into a hairless, scaleless humanoid. We have, on this world, a reptilian humanoid. Now, humanoid is not the exception in the galaxy, it is the rule. In fact, this form, which happens to be upright, also exists on 4 legs. A dog is humanoid in form. It has a head, torso, 4 arms, back legs. A cat, even fishes, have vestiges of 4 legs and back legs, even snakes. the Star Wars inception of the octopus and the 12-headed and 5-armed and all those creatures. No. This is the rule. Humanoid reptilians evolved on this little star system. Now, this star system, which is approximately 2/3 of the way out, when these reptilian humanoids evolved, they looked up into the heavens and they saw a moon. And they said, let's go to the moon. Now, plug in a reptilian humanoid into our own history and you're going to get the same results. We're looking out there. We're beginning to, I should say beginning to, we will conquer the moon here shortly. Well, these reptilian humanoids conquered their moon. They conquered the rest of the planets in their solar system, and they then began to go beyond their own star system. These reptilian humanoids were real heavy dudes. Warrior conquerors. The kings were nasty and vicious, and they created an empire. In this galaxy, one of the oldest empires is the reptilian kingdom. These guys were vicious. The rest of the star systems recognized them as Ari. It is a rolling R. They were called the Adi, which literally meant overlord or master. This was the ultimate master, the ultimate king. They were called the Adi. The galactic word, and you can find it in Sumeria, Babylonia, Egypt, and all of the ancient languages, the word for heaven is An. A-N. This became known as the reptilian empire of the Aryan. Nowadays, we call it Orions. The Aryan Empire, reptilian kings who had created and conquest an empire, a warring empire. And they were good. They built and lasted in their empire longer than the others. It is at this point, the oldest empire in our neck of the woods. But tell you something. And good as the kings were, at a certain point, the queens took over. And here's another galactic rule. Never piss off the female of any species.
You know what Murphy's Law is? Do you know what Murphy's first law is?
First law,
Okay. Don't piss off. This is Murphy.
that's a galactic rule. Never kiss off the female of the species, because as good as the Orion kings were, the Orion queens were nasty, mean, and vicious, and colder. And the empire that the kings had built, poof, it became much larger. It grew geometrically. The Orion Empire to this time frame, this time period, is the single most powerful, the biggest, and the nastiest empire there is. Alright? So, you're not taking notes? Are you taking notes?
Oh, I take the notes.
Well, what if you have it?
Oh,
I want to introduce to you...
get a bit tiny.
No, you don't. I want to introduce to you the Orion Empire Queen. The Reptilian Queen. Now, remember this. We have here the core of the galaxy. Very dense, very thick with stars, far too dense for light as we know it to exist. Now, did I say there's no light there?
No.
It is far too dense for light as we know it to exist. Now, approximately 2/3 of the way out from the center is the Orion Reptilian Queen Empire. Okay? But here is a very crucial aspect of the galaxy. What's the main highway that goes through Houston?
10.
I-10. Oh, I know I-10. See, it goes through Tucson. All right. From the center of the galaxy, right through the center of the Orion Empire, all the way to the outer edges is I-10. And the queens have a lock on I-10. They've got all the McDonald's, they've got all the Burhicles, they've got all the Wendy's, they've got all the Super 8s, they've got the Hiltons, they've got all of the resorts, they've got all the gas stations, they even have the patrol cars that go along and issue the ticket citations for speeding. In other words, her main income comes from the travel through Interstate 10. Anybody who comes in from another corner of the galaxy, from another galaxy, has to land on the outer edges, and there's only one road to take. I-10, and where does this go? Right here, I told those. So, the reptilian empire is, I don't want to say dependent on, but a major check every month comes to the queen because of I-10. Alright? Now, going through I-10, getting to the outer edges, suddenly another star is created. Another star system. And on this star system, on one of its planets, poof, another healing. Another evolution. But this time, instead of... I can borrow you again. This time, right here, it's not quite on I-10. I'll step back just a little bit. He's not on I-10 yet. We want you to plug in, instead of a lizard, instead of a dinosaur lizard, instead of an ape, plug in a wolf, a jackal, and you get a careless wolfman. These people were known as Canis. This is K-A-N-U-S. Canis. The dog kings, the wolf kings, the jackals. And these guys were nasty. They evolved into humanoids. They looked up to the moon. They did the same thing the Orions did. And they looked at the other planets and they began to conquer and create their own little empire. And now remember, these guys aren't as old. And Canis is the root word for canine. But these guys, when they conducted war, had a different technique. You go in and you conquer this world. You either obey the canine or the Canis kings, or your lunch. They devour their victims. They literally eat anyone who does not obey the king. Canis is the root for canine and cannibal. This guy eats his victims, devours. And as he begins to expand this empire, he starts to move slowly and slowly toward, guess what? I-10. Are you serious? The reptilian queen looks at this hairless little wolf man and goes, okay, wait a minute. Billions of years of warfare have taught the queens a very necessary lesson. Nobody wins in war. You're going to lose life. It's going to cause destruction. So the reptilian queen sends an emissary to the wolf kings and says, okay, listen here, dude. By the way, it's a galactic word. Dude. Look, dude. You're getting too close to I-10. Now, I can come down here and I can mess you up big time. I kick your booty all over this place, but let's do this. You watch I-10, and from this segment out, you can have the McDonald's, you can have the franchises, you can have the cops, the toll booths, you can build the resorts. You collect everything from this point out. With this condition, I'm making $1,000 a month. I want you to send me my $1,000 a month plus 10%, and you can keep anything above and beyond that you collect on I-10 out here. Well, the Wolf King goes, well, I can't piss her off, or she's going to come down and kick my butt. So they agreed to a tenuous truce here. She says, send me my check every month, we'll let you alone. He now has her backing. He can begin to expand and go into other stars and says, look, either you start paying me or I'm going to tell the queen. So he now has credibility, He now has some backing. She now has 50. The
Something doing reality already.
This is the dirty work. Here's the executioners. Now, how many of you are familiar with constellation lore? Orion in the constellations is who? The Grand Hunter. Okay? But he has 2 loyal and faithful dogs at his feet. Sorry? Sorry? First page of the paper. I'll show you just a very quick whiskey breakdown here. The war technology. The Orion Queens learned something from war. You're never going to win. So they decided and developed a technology so that when they came into a new world to conquer it, she figured out why hate you guys. I mean, this is a total waste of perfectly good servants for the system. So she said, what do we do? And her scientist, her military general said, look, instead of killing him, instead of eating him, let's very simply reprogram the brain. You are an electronic biochemical individual. You can be reprogrammed. So they developed the technology to put someone in a chair and they go, zap, okay, we'll just rewire his head. Yes, ma'am, anything you want. I'm obedient servant to anything that you want, my dear queen. This technology, the Orion technology, was referred to as the consonants MK. Mech. And the K is a guttural K. It's like a G. It's as if Loch Ness Monster, it's actually Lach. This is Mach. Alright? The royal technology of the queens was known as Mach. This guy, the wolves, the wolf king, said, screw it, let's just eat it. This
Bet me.
well, their war technology was which is just either you obey or you're buffet, was as Dach. Right? Dach. He and his star system is now known as the Dach Empire. Right? Dark Empire? No. Dach Empire. He and his star system is the Dach star. To this day, we refer to the dog star as which star? Sirius. Who in constellation lore are the 2 dogs at the feet of Orion?
Sirius,
Right. Major Sirius and Minor Sirius. The 2 dog stars. So, we have the reptilian Mach Empire, Syrian Dach Empire. These were the dogs of war, the dogs of war, the enforcers of the Orion Empire. Alright? Now, core of the star system, I-10 goes through the reptilian empire, goes through now the canine empire, all the way to the outer edges. I-10 is crucial. Dude, you better pay that check every month or your butt's in trouble. Alright? Now we have another event. Because out towards the outer edges, suddenly there's another star. Another star is born and it is called Fod. The Fod star lies between Sirius and the edges. It's a brand new system. One of the Wolf Kings says, you know what? New star system, new planets, more ore that hasn't been mined, precious minerals, elements, and guess what? There are planets on it. You have a seat for a second, because I want to show you something here. Thank you.
Retire you like shavers.
You're going to go reprogram someone, he's going to go...
Don't mess with Mrs. Verbrand, Mitchell.
The Barren the Wolf. You're becoming instrumental in my lectures. Can you travel? Hi. The odd star system. I don't know if this works though. Where's that blue one? Blue one's better, right? Or no? Alright. The sun was called Bod. It literally meant the place of death. In the star system Bod, gas and dust accumulated, and two planets formed at the very beginning. At the very outset, one tiny little planet roamed around. It was called the Moon. And further out, planet which I'm going to call Planet X. Those are the first two that formed. But then the dust and gases coagulated, and more pairs of planets formed. One pair formed here and here. Whoops. This one we now refer to as Venus. This one we refer to as Mars. By the way, this one is obviously Mercury. These two planets, it's in the Terra Papers, I don't want to get into real heavily, but this one was called Lachmu and Lachkamu. And then Planet X. More pairs formed. Two large planets formed out here. One that is now recognized with the ring. This was Jupiter, Saturn, and then another pair further out, Uranus and Neptune. The names in the Terra Papers are, at this moment, not crucial. But, please note, how many planets do we have? Only 8. And one mystery planet between Mars and Jupiter. Where is Earth? It did not exist. It wasn't here. The Dog King sent down a being that you're going to have to become familiar with. A scientist. Someone who knew how to create a planet. He was called a Genesis scientist. Now, a Genesis scientist a la Spock in Star Trek. Wasn't he the one that did the Genesis experiment in one of the movies?
Yeah, it was, Kirk's son was a ball ripper. Yeah, the Osiris, the G.
Yes. Oh. A Genesis scientist is able to genetically manipulate beasts, plants, and atmospheres. He knew what kind of plants he needed on which planet and what kind of animals he needed to support the planets. He knew how to create life. He could take the DNA of anything, mix it with something else, and end up with a creature. The Genesis scientist was sent down, and he took a look at the solar system. His task was to develop it and to get all the gold, the diamonds, the ores, all these precious elements. He came down, and he picked Planet X. Planet X, at that time, was called Tiamat. I'm giving you the words that you can actually research. You can go to the 12th planet, you know, the Earth Chronicles, you can go to Babylonia, Sumeria, you can find these names. This mystical ancient planet. And he develops it. The Wolf King used the Genesis scientists, and Tiamat became Las Vegas. And it had resorts, it had casinos, it had buffets, it had all kinds of perverse, dementia, rotten, evil. It was a great place. Las Vegas. Anybody coming in from I-10, the first place they got to was this solar system, and they went straight to Tiamat. And payoff was 99.6%, so they were making money, and then they had to go into the star system series, and then they had to go to Orion, and the Queen says, all right, well, King, man, not only is he making the money he's supposed to make, he's getting me a cut off of this, so she was making more money than she was in the beginning. He's got control of Las Vegas, he's getting really wealthy, both empires are growing, all because of Tiamat. Wow, good move, King. This is really good. Well, these two planets, the inner two, became fortresses. They needed the military. They needed a police substation out right then. So they established 2 military outposts. These 2 planets, the big ones, the atmosphere was liquid metal, was hydrogen. It could not be breathed. The gravitational forces were too strong, and so they discovered you can't do anything. You can't put light there, but it's got several moons, both planets. And we can put people on these moons. Why? Because you know what? You put a production facility inside. You can put a refining center in the core of these planets, and because of the gravitational forces, you can create elements 110, 112, and a crucial key element number 115. You're going to hear that one over and over again. Write it down. Element 115 can be created in the core of these planets where it is unstable anywhere else in the solar system. You need supergravity. These two became production facilities, refining of the ores that were taken from the other stars to Jupiter and Saturn. Uranus and Neptune was the swampland. It was the forest of the Florida Everglades. It was a real estate agent's dream. We'll sell him land out here, and someday in the future we're going to develop it. It was a good place to conduct underwater experiments. It's a great place if you like water and swamp. They didn't develop it to any great deal. Say Neptune. Neptune has some very unique circumstances occurring on its inner core. It became an energy source. It became like a generator center, like way out on the outskirts of town. I want you to read what you can about Neptune. Find out whether or not it's emitting energy and what's unique about the energy that it emits. You check it out. Alright. The solar system was doing really good. The king was making money for the queen. She was really happy. And then, stuff happened. Now, let's do a real quick study here. Little Ping is out here. The reptilian queen is over here. Here's where we start getting soap opera time. Now, he's got Las Vegas out here. Alright? And things are happening. And one day, the king has a brother-in-law. Did you get a brother-in-law? I'm sorry, I said brother-in-law. It's his brother. Now, his brother is called the royal cupbearer. He's the number 2 in command. He's like the vice president. Okay? But I'll tell you stuff about canines. Tell you something about jackals. Don't trust a wolfman. Because they eat their homework. Anything to ascend to the throne. The worst stories you've ever heard in medieval kings and princes and all the assassination plot is on steroids here, man. This guy was after the throne, period. Most of the kings who ascended to the throne did not get there through rights of succession. They got there through assassination, murder, poison, you name it. Well, this brother has been plotting for quite some time to undo royal king. His name was it's immature. He was the one responsible, right? Well, he goes to go see the queen. When he comes back, there's an ambush. They assassinate the great King Bot. Sorry. Now, he steps onto the throne. He is now the king. But, you come up, Riz. The great King has a son. His son is called Anu. Anu looks at him. Now, do you think he's pissed off at him? In a second. He knows he's still alive, and he's got family and followers. He's still got links. He could do him in, but he could use his support, so he decides to make him vice president. This way, I've always got him in control. And she's going, boys, just don't mess with my check. Slap him around and send me our money. She says, we've had a talk. So he flies all the way over to see the queen. Right? He sees the queen, and what happens? The throne's empty. And Prince Anu goes, gotcha, man. And he steps in, and he plots an ambush. But, do you think he's already played this game before? Damn bitchin'. And as he's coming back, he goes, oh, poop. Now, he's been overthrown. The Anu family who originally created the solar system, these guys, it was his dad that started everything. He's not in great favor with the Syrian people anyway, but where's he gonna go? He knows if he comes back, his butt becomes a can of Alpo. So where can he go? Your solar system goes to the no solar system way out here.
See you there, buddy.
He moves in to Las Vegas. He was instrumental with the Genesis scientists who started it anyway. He's got a lot. Now, this is King Al in the solar system. This is King Anu. This is the reptilian queen. So we now have...
have a name, my lord?
Yes, she does. And we now have
And it is.
the king out here. And he says, all right, let's bump his ass off, destroy whatever it takes, get rid of his ass. And she says,
No.
don't mess with my check. Right. Work it out. So he says, Queen, tell you what, I'll give you everything that you were getting before plus 10%. And I'll give you all the gold that we get from our solar system. And the queen says, whoa, such a deal. And she goes to the king, the wolf king now, the prince who has been, well, his dad was killed, and tells him, knock it off. Relax. Don't mess with my check. So now, he's alive and well. He killed his dad. Is he pissed? In a second. And now he can't kill him because she says, don't mess with my check.
Right.
Is he pissed? Even more so. So, we have a tenuous truce. The queen's getting her check. He's getting his cut, but he's still pissed because this guy's alive and well. And all the poop that he's done to his family, he's alive and well. Well, things were okay for a while until his son has his own son. His grandson is born. The son, his immediate son, is killed. And grandson, would you give me a second? This is going to be good. I'll have this. This is the grandson. And now, remember, he is the grandson of him. He was on the throne. He is an heir to the throne on the star Sirius. But it was removed, his future on the throne of the star Sirius was removed because of who? Him. Is he pissed at him? In a second. Because he did to him what he did to him. Okay? So, he signs up for West Point. Granddad, I want to become a soldier. And he signs up for the foot soldiers, the ground forces, and they're called the Beh, B-E-H. He becomes a master. I mean, he goes to West Point, he gets all the grades, he learns all the tactics, he comes out with a commission, he gains a commandership of some of the ground forces, and we now have a master at West Point. Is he satisfied? No. He comes immediately to his dad. He says, Dad, I want to go to Annapolis. I want to learn all the naval tactics. And he signs up and he goes to the academy, he does the same thing. He becomes a commander of naval forces. He learns the ground forces, the naval forces, and give that ain't enough. He goes back to his granddad and says, Granddad, what's the Air Force Academy called?
Air Force Academy. Colorado Springs.
All right, it was there over. Yeah, he goes to the Air Force Academy, and he's signing up. Now he is becoming, and in time will gain the title of Zeus. Z-U. Now, Zeus is a term, a military term that is applied to the ultimate commander. The commander-in-chief, Eisenhower, would have been called Zeus. He was a master of all three forces. And in the meantime, she's saying, don't mess with my check. In the meantime, he's going, I'm going to get that some Willenheim once and for all. And then he finds out his grandson, Lord Zeus, has mastered all three of the military forces. Is he worried? I bet you he's worried. Because now, you got a potential threat here. Well, King Al dies. Old age. Got a bone stuck in his throat. Something happened. He passed away.
That's tended a lifespan, like hundreds of thousands of years.
Hundreds of thousands of years. So we're talking about probably, then this little short battle, 1,000,000 years. Okay? He passes away. He's ascending to the throne. His family has a lock on a relationship with her. Is he worried? Damn bet you. He is. And so he says, well, wait a minute. I know you're the king, but I have far more important position for you. So he summons him and he brings him to the Syrian kingdom where he becomes vice president. So he goes to be vice president. Now what happens to the throne over here? He sends his oldest son, we'll talk about him later and give you names, but he sends him over here and he becomes temporary king while he's watching him. Well, he is obviously pissed because this whole circumstance has removed the throne from his grasp. So he decides to make a plot with the people, his soldiers, all of the forces he had worked with back on planet Earth. Back on the solar system over here. So one day, the son, the temporary king, says, Dad, I got a problem. You got to come down here and handle this because nobody's paying any attention to me. Everybody is listening to the family of all. They want King Zeus. There are strikes. There's protests. You got to come down, Kara. You better bring him down and make an appearance. So the two of them fly back to the solar system. But he set up a trap. The woke king says, look, no problem, we're going to triple the guards, quadruple the guards. He sends a bunch of guards with him. They all come back down here. He comes to the throne. Huh? You come back to the throne? Oh. It's like the Democrats and the Republicans. And he comes back over with him, but there's an ambush. And these two end up, he gets all his forces ready. They eliminate the son, get rid of his body, don't kill him. They make him scurry off as he's coming in. They set up an ambush. His guards take over the entire solar system. They set a trap. He shows up, and he shows up in the Royal Starship. This is a huge planet-sized warship. It is equipped with the single most powerful laser cannon in the technology.
Death Star or more.
Bingo!
Star Wars?
The Death Star. Now, you should start asking questions. You're like, geez, where's this coming from? Okay, here's the star. He comes down in his flagship. It's out of the flagship to go to the court. His troops take over this warship. He finds himself in the scout ship. He has to escape into wherever he can to get away. He seizes the Death Star. He sees the solar system. His butt has to go running back to Sirius. And he limps back. And he took a big hit. He took a big hit getting back home. Now, is he pissed? The Queen says, what's going on? Don't mess with my check. So, Lord, now King Zeus says, Queen. Queen. And she steps forward and she says, don't mess with my check. Excuse me, this is my workshop. Wait a second. He says, listen, Queen. And the Queen goes like, yes. Checking weapon down. Got nice legs over there too. So she's starting to get kind of a hankering. He says, Queen, look. My family has always adhered to our treaty, to our agreement, and henceforth, I will live up to anything and everything we have always agreed on, plus, I'll give you an extra 5%. Wink, wink, wink. She goes, honey, just don't mess with my check and just come and visit me every once in a while. So they've established a direct relationship now. And he pissed? He just lost his Death Star. He just got kicked out of his own solar system. Now he doesn't even have any direct control over this king as long as he obeys her. He's now got a direct line with the Queen. Wow. We got a situation. You got it. So he plots and he plots and he can't find a way to break that relationship until one day another reptilian queen begins to make some moves in the outer regions of the galaxy. She had been enemies at one point. She begins to move in out here. And she goes to Lord Zeus and says, "Hun, we can do some conquering out here and get some wealth and create a mini little empire." So she goes like, "You think we can work together?" So, "Oh, sure, I think we can work together." But the queen over here goes, them two are getting a little too close. They're getting a little powerful. And he sees an in. He goes to the queen and says, look over there. Look at them two. You don't like her. I don't like him. They're plotting together. He created a rebellion. He overthrew me and seized an empire. He didn't have any backing. What do you think he's going to do now that she's over there? You have a question? So, he manages to convince the queen there's something more than business over here. So, she says, okay, let's do it. Just make sure my paycheck arrives every month. So she sends her reptilian Mach horses and combine with the Dach horses, and they sweep down on the solar system. She flees back home, and they sweep down on Eridanus, on the solar system. And from the outer edges all the way to the inner core, they destroy the planets of Venus and Mars that were once planets with an atmosphere of water, lake, trees, plant, and buildings. They devastated Venus and Mars, the military outposts. They came in, they destroyed the colonies on the big planets, and they went after Tiamat. He had, captured the Death Star. Remember that? He is now known as Arzu. Ares. And he conducts the battle. It's a very long thing. I'm sorry for the details I can't get into, but let's say this entire solar system is devastated and... where might be more? Tiamat, the central capital, is attacked, and King Anu, the Wolf King, says, screw them all, destroy it. No prisoners. And he attacks the planet so strongly, so heavily, that it literally blows up. A large fragment on the backside is thrown inwards. The rest of the planet is in pieces, moons, different pieces flying different directions. One piece is thrown out and returns every 76 years. Coming back. The major fragment on the backside was thrown inward, and it caught in an orbit between Venus and Mars. That is the beginning of planet Earth. One of its moons was brought with it. What is left between Mars and Jupiter is the rubble.
Did Tiamat
The
have two
asteroid
moons?
belt. Tiamat had many moons. As a matter of fact, one of these moons was kicked out and became Pluto. One moon came with this planet and became Luna. Okay? What I have tried to give you here is a very brief galactic history. We created a solar system, and now we have destroyed it. I want to thank you. You can sit down, but I want to show you some linguistic studies here. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. Now, Earth is created from the destruction of a central planet. The moons and Pluto, and light is devastated. God bless you. Venus and Mars destroyed in the colonies. Well, let's do some studies.
Я не видів, що точно не шахмати.
Okay,
No.
I'll let Shreem try Mike, and don't worry. we'll put it together. We'll take a break in a few minutes, but I want to finish it off with this. I have just created a galaxy. I've just created a solar system, and I have destroyed it. Yeah. On this solar system, we had a king, a rebel upstart, the grandson of a wolf king who created a revolution and created an empire, and it was destroyed because of the rebel upstart. His name was Lord Zeus, then became King Zeus. It is a practice of the galactic kings and queens to always double the name if they ascended to the throne. It's the same as saying, well, there's a big rock and a big rock. It increases the power geometrically. Lord Zeus, King Zeus, was now called Zuzu, or Zeus. King Zeus built in his solar system the great palace, a tribute to his grandfather Al. A palace or gathering place is called Ambu. God bless you. The central city, the central palace was called Al Ambu. But when he ascended to the throne, he had to attach his name to the palace, but he would not remove his grandfather's name, so it became known as the palace of Al Ambuzu. Al Ambus was the central city, the palace. We have Lord Zeus in the mountain palace of Olympus, who declared war against the gods on Sirius. Please read the theogony. The Greek theogony is the story of King Zeus, who resided on Mount Olympus, and he declared war against the olden gods on Osiris. With Greek theogony is the story, the real story of a rebellious king. In other words, guys, Zeus was real. Olympus was real. Osiris was real. And the stories of the Greeks with all these mythical gods of Hera and Mercury and Mars, in fact, were true. Because they're not myths, they're not fables. It's about a real being. And it's why you can now look at Venus and Mars and several of the moons. You can see traces of water. There's evidence that there was life once there, but now it's gone. But why is Earth still alive? Why do we have life? 10-minute break. Okay. What I would like to do now is, this is the crucial point because it involves us. Get any of you familiar with Zecharia Sitchin and any of the Earth Chronicles books? The 12th Planet, Genesis Revisited, Lost Realms, Wars of Gods and Men, When Time Began. There's another one I don't remember, I missed it. But at any rate, this is where the Earth Chronicles begins. And I want to explain some things and show you with this reference why some of the things Dr. Sitchin is saying is slightly incorrect. But I want to begin with the star element. In 1947, everybody is familiar with the crash that occurred in Roswell, New Mexico. Approximately 1 month later, a second disk came down in what is now known as approximately the Four Corners area, Utah, Colorado, Mexico, Arizona. I don't want to get too specific, but another disk came down. 6 young Indian men who were out on a vision quest were near the crash site. They were foolish enough to go out, discover the site before the soldiers arrived, and in the wreckage they found one live extraterrestrial. They rescued him, took him to the campsite, and there they began to communicate. The mirror might hear voices. He's Minotaur. Oh, it's okay. And I'm abbreviating. I am abbreviating the history here. We talked about it last night. For those of you not familiar, we have a handout. We have some material on it. But the story that I am presenting to you came from the Star Elder. The 6 young men referred to him as an elder in tribute to his wisdom out of respect of his for his place in the stories that he told. And the history that I am presenting is what I have reconstructed using the tales of the Star Elder, using his revelation, and plugging them into our own history. The little, 1 hour or so presentation that I just gave you is a result of approximately 30 years going back, digging up cuneiforms and hieroglyphs. I can read hieroglyphs. I can't believe this. How I can read hieroglyphs and reconstructing this history. There's anything that's on here that we can't, in some ancient record, show the linguistic breakdown, how it occurred, where it's from. But now, man, what about planet Earth? I've shown you in the previous segment how Tiamat was destroyed, flung inwards, and it actually, the remnants of Tiamat became planet Earth. Now, if you look at some of the tectonics plates books, this is the story of the continental shift. If you look at the earliest reconstructed tectonic plate maps of Earth, you will note that they have created what they call Pangea, one large massive continent that have broken apart and is now beginning to spread around to the other side, which was nothing but ocean. But anything about planetary dynamics, it is impossible for a planet to naturally form with all the landmass on one side and the water on the other. It would be out of balance in a moment. It doesn't work. The only way you can get landmass on one side and a huge gaping hole with an ocean on the other side is if there was some sort of cataclysm, a chaotic event. Some astronomers and scientists are now saying maybe Earth was collided with a comet, an asteroid. Something interfered. They're right. The huge gaping hole left on the side of Tiamat is filled in with the waters, and the continental shift is now a result of Earth trying to heal itself, and all the continents were shifting over to fill up the hole and resulted from the destruction of Tiamat. Tiamat, the remains of it, came into the third orbit, but not completely unpopulated. There were small bacteria, viruses, and small animals that did in fact survive the destruction, the collision. And these plants, these animals began to thrive. They began to grow. It began to self-heal. And after a few million years, it actually became a planet with the minor atmosphere once again, and it had minimal plant and animal life. Well, so what? What happened to the Wolf King? What happened to the Reptilian Queen? Well, the Reptilian Queen, remember her priority. The check, hun, the check. The Wolf King says, got rid of that little upstart Zeus once and for all. But look what he did. He destroyed Las Vegas. He destroyed the Somerset. He destroyed the foundries. He destroyed the refining facilities. He caused himself a lot of problems. And she says, hun, I don't give a damn. I want a check. Now, the Wolf King is in deep pook. He's got to come up with the bucks. But he destroyed Vegas. How's that? Smart. So, the Wolf King decides, I better fix it up. So he sends down his eldest son. Now this one, that's one of the key. His eldest son is known as Prince Ea. E-A. Prince Ea is a master genesis scientist. As Zeus had gone to Annapolis, West Point, and the Air Force Academy, so Ea had gone to the University of Arizona. School? Now, he had been to Yale, Princeton, Harvard, the equivalent. He had gone to all the medical colleges. Prince Ea, the eldest son of the Wolf King Anu, was a master genesis scientist. He was able to create hybrids. He could go in, he could take a planet and rebuild its atmosphere, putting the appropriate plants, building, supporting hybrid creatures necessary. Prince Ea. And the Wolf King says, go down to this destroyed planet and rebuild it. He had something to work with. There was water, there was land, there was some vegetation, there was some plant life. And so Lord Prince Ea came down to what is now Earth, and he began to rebuild. He found on the equatorial belt the right place, and he established a colony. He brought with him some volunteers. They're variously called the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, the Elohim, numerous names, but he brought a crew of technicians with him to reestablish the system. And he did so. In the very center of the equatorial belt, he built an agricultural biological center. And in it, he created the plants. He created a fabulous garden. And in the garden, he began to create the right hybrid creatures. He would oftentimes take the very creatures born of this planet. He would take some Sirian from the star system Sirius DNA, and he would bring and breed it, genetically mix it with the creatures here. This planet, however, has a nitrogen-based atmosphere. Nitrogen is poison. It comprises 80% of our atmosphere. I'm sorry. Yes, we need oxygen, but 80% of our atmosphere is poison. Not all of the Sirian experiments, as a matter of fact, most of the Sirian experiments didn't work. He had to take creatures which had evolved and could survive in nitrogen and use them to rebuild the planet. And he did extremely well. The garden was a tremendous success. The creatures that he fabricated, that he genetically engineered, began to spread out. And they gave off carbon dioxide. The plants took in the carbon dioxide. They created oxygen. And in fact, he repopulated the planet. Prince Ea was given the title the Lord of Creation. A Genesis scientist whose logo are two intertwining strands of DNA. In fact, at the double helix, it is the root for the caducit, the symbol that is used in the medical field today. The doctors. Genesis scientist, the Lord of Creation, begins his garden and he's successful. And the Wolf King says, son, you're doing extremely well. But you're spending too much time in the garden. I gotta get the gold. I gotta pay the damn queen. Every month she wants her check. Look, son, leave the garden alone. Let's get the gold mines going. Let's get the production facilities on Saturn and Jupiter going. We gotta get more diamonds. We gotta make some money, son. And he says, sure, Dad, no problem. Ea begins the facilities and he's successful, but he keeps going back into the garden. The Wolf King says, son, I'm sorry, we got a problem. You're spending too much time in the garden. So I'm going to send your little brother down. Now the little brother's name is Enlil. Enlil, younger brother of Ea, is a business manager. He's an accountant. He's been to Harvard. He's been to Yale. He knows how to work the books. He knows how to be efficient. He is known as the Lord of Command because the Wolf King says, son, you've been doing real good in the garden, but your brother's in charge. Ultimately, he's what's going to keep us in the black. So he is going to be the Lord of Command. God bless you. He is known as the Lord of the Word. The Word is the command. As speaketh Enlil, so it shall be. Well, Prince Ea, eldest son, the Lord of Creation, is now having to share dominion with Lord Enlil, Lord of the Word, with two entirely different agendas. He wants life, flowers, stuff, beans. He wants profit, gold, black ink, and the books. We gotta pay the queen. He had no authority how that is. So, these two brothers are now sharing dominion over planet Earth. A lord of the word, a lord of creation. Well, hundreds of thousands of years of feuding, the planet's populated, settlers coming down, Anunnaki, settlers, refugees from other planetary systems, they come down and Earth becomes a thriving operation, but it's a nitrogen-based planet. And because it had been through the destruction, through the chaos, its inner core is unstable. It keeps shifting back and forth. It causes magnetic anomalies. It causes gravitational anomalies. They pick up their laser cutting beams, light beams that can cut through stone like butter, and they get it going, but they draw their energy from grid lines. Grid lines begin to flux back and forth. Sometimes they're called ley lines. They couldn't get consistent energy from the planet itself. They couldn't get consistent gravitational forces. They had to breathe nitrogen. This place was a bitch to work in. So, huh? Still is. Especially Houston. I feel like I'm sweating, man. Tell you what, Phoenix, 102-degree weather. It's 7, huh? It's 7% humidity. You know, you go to Houston, and it's like 80% humidity. All right. So, these two are constantly fighting over who's got control. Now, the workers, they go one day to Lord Enlil, and he's handling the books, and they got to do what he says. On the other hand, they still have to obey what Lord Ea says, because he's the one responsible for repopulating the solar system and the planet. So they're caught between two bosses. And finally, the Anunnaki say, screw it, we're going on strike. We're not going to do anything for you guys. We've had it enough. Like, we have to make a choice. We want to get rid of the damn manager. Forget it. The books. We'd rather go with him because he lets us play a lot. Just go to the garden unless they have big. That's right. Well, so the word goes out, and they say, strike. Yeah, the Wolf King says, oh. So he comes down here, and he says, now what the hell's going on? The Anunnaki are on strike. They don't want the Lord of the Word. The Anunnaki aren't really thrilled with Lord Ea, but at least he lets them play. Lord Ea wants to get rid of Enlil. Enlil doesn't want to be here anyway because he wants to be back up on Sirius because he wants to kick his dad in the butt so he can take over his throne of Sirius. Nobody wants the Lord of the Word, and he doesn't even want to be here. So the Lord Wolf King, Anu, now what the heck am I going to do? We need to introduce one other character. Baby sister. Baby sister is known as Nin-Her-Sag. Okay? Nin-Her-Sag is also a Genesis scientist. She's not as good as her brother, but she's a Genesis scientist. She liked dabbling in the laboratory. So, Nin-Her-Sag, who was working with her older brother, one day she says, geez, we need to build a hybrid creature, one that can survive in this atmosphere, one that's strong so that it can carry some of the gold in the ore, because sometimes our electronic equipment doesn't work. And we need it to be able to obey a command. So she took one of the beasts I had developed here, and she took its DNA, and she took some Syrian DNA, and she mixed it together. The beast that she chose was called the Men, M-E-N. Now, the Man was a strong beast, very thick of shoulder and heavy and strong, but even with Syrian DNA, and they took humanoid Syrian DNA, the beast could walk upright. The beast was strong of back, but it was dumb. Couldn't obey orders. Well, the first beast, Ta'ur. Ta'ur literally means the great one or the original one. She created the Minotaur. Now the Minotaur was the men is the word used for a bull. With the humanoid DNA, she created the Minotaur, which is Minotaur. The fable's bull man beast was in fact one of the first hybrids she created. Good, strong, upright, but stupid. Didn't work. So she decided, don't work. We need a stronger beast, a quicker beast. We need one that can obey a command. So she then takes the next beast, called a Sin. The Sin beast was quick, strong, a little bit brighter, but didn't quite work. The Centaur. What is a Sin? A horse. Please check your local hieroglyphs dictionary. Look up the word men, look up the word sin, look up the word tahor. Great one, horse, bull. No. No, that's a little bit different. You're on the right track, but pile of poop is called a senna. No.
They'll join the Senate.
Okay. So, one day, she says, how we get... Oh, look, you know what I'm telling you? I'm suggesting to you the Minotaur is real. The Centaur is real. You know what? The unicorn is real. All of those fabulous creatures of Egyptian mythology, those ancient beasts, are real. They really did exist. I'm sorry, the unicorn was real. Well, one day, Neandra Sykes says, we got to get something, man. This isn't working really well. We still need another beast. So, she went into the jungle, and she found a beast called an Appa. The Appa was a semi-upright, hairy, big, black, smelly, ugly, strong-armed ape. She took some of the Appa DNA and she took some of the Syrian DNA and she mixed it together, and lo and behold, he was a beast, he was upright, he was strong, he could live in the nitrogen-based atmosphere, and he could obey a command. She went to her brother and said, bro, I did something. You want to take a look at this? A little nervous, but in fact, it was man. And you know what I'm saying here? Do you know who created the prototype man? A female. A woman. And when we hear of religions that say that man was created by a woman, technically they're absolutely correct. But he is in charge of the project. He gets responsibility. He takes the prototype and he begins to make refinements. The ultimate sponsor, responsible reporter for the project called Man is Ea, a male. But the actual hands-on creator of the prototype is a woman. Ooh. Did you know that in a healthy world, in my tribe, we say that man is created by a female? There are still some religions that say that man is created by a female. It's correct. Well, Lord Ea sees a plan in the beast. It works good. It's smart. It can obey a command. So when his dad comes down and everybody's protesting, everybody's on strike, he and his sister trot out this little ape. And this ape is able to obey commands. And he can pick up huge folders. And the king wolf is, whoa, all right, this looks really good. And the workers are going, hey, we can put him in the mines, we can put him out in the fields, and we can become the managers. And Lil goes, all right, now they've got a solution. The workers have some beasts they can use. He can take dominion. I can go back to my planet and aim for the throne. The wolf king issues a command. Henceforth, Lord Ea, you and your sister will go into your biological center and you are going to create these beasts. You make the refinements necessary, and as soon as you have enough of these beasts, we're going to put them out in the mines, we're going to put them out in the fields. Their job is to serve the company. He's going, all right, I'm going home. He's going, all right, I'm going to be Lord. And the Lord Wolf King finally says, and my final word is this. The Anunnaki shall become the overseers. They shall become those who watch over the beast. Lord Ea and Lady Ninhursag will continue to create the beasts and be the lords of creation. And Lord Enlil is staying here, dude. I don't want him back in Sirius. He's going to stay here, and he will become and remain the Lord of the Word with final say. Man, did he have a fit? Wow. Well, Lord Enlil takes over. He's the boss. He tells them, put the damn beast in the mines, put him out in the fields. It's just an experiment. It's a hybrid. It doesn't have awareness. It doesn't have consciousness. It came from a damn ape. I don't give a poop. Work him till he drops. And he did. The beast was created, not in nobility, but as a pure servant to the gods. I'm sorry. Gonna disturb somebody. But it was not a noble creation. Are we created in the image of the gods? Yes. We've got their damn DNA. We look like they do. Well, was it a nice quiet time on Earth? No. The only ones that were happy were the Lord Overseers. The original Anunnaki who were these was taking care of all their birds, that these two kept fighting. And Enlil, Lord of the Word, worked the beast until he literally dropped in the fields. He dropped in the mines. He said, I don't give a damn, it's just a hybrid. Well, Lord Ea, the Lord of creation, Da or T-A, it's a dental D, dental T, Da. Da Ea, Da literally means creator, the creator. Da Ea, Lord Ea, Lord of creation. Da Ea is the root for Deus, Dios, Tao, Yalpitar. This is the name of Lord Ea is the root for all the terms that we use for God. Review this. Ea. In all of the ancient languages, the suffix "u" means "of." The works of Ea, the hybrids, the plants, the reconstruction of the planets, everything that he did was known as Ea-u. Ea-u was in time changed to Ea-u or Ea-u or Ea. Ea-u, Eyahu, Eyawu, Yahweh. Yahweh is the linguistic root for Jehovah. Okay? Now, please, here's what I'm going to do in the next few minutes. I'm going to take the Bible apart. I'm going to show you it's a crock. And I'm sorry. Now, I'm also going to tell you, I'm not saying there is no omnipotent God. I'm not saying that there isn't the one out there. What I'm going to show you is the one in the Bible is a crock. This is a complete misinterpretation of what actually happened. I'm preparing you so you can bail out.
Know this. Not there.
Da Ea. This is a cross. Da Ea sees his beasts being destroyed. The dominion over planet Earth has been removed. He cannot, even because of the reptilian queen, and I'm not going to get into it at this moment, he will never ascend to the throne in Sirius. His entire life had been undone every time he attempts something good, which I'm sure you've never experienced. Every time he attempted to do something good and right, boom, was destroyed. Lord Ea snaps. The reptilian queen, who is the originator of the system, who brings the wolf star system into the system, which imposed on the solar system the system. Keep the damn check going to the queen. It's funny, but that's what this whole thing is about. Keep the profit going. It's a business. Prince Ea snaps. Breakdown. I've had it. Screw the system. Screw you, Dad. Screw you, bro. And screw you, reptilian queen. Ooh. And he breaks. So one day, he says, I had it. I'm going to do something to the system. So one day, he sneaks over to one of the beasts. And he said, you happy, aren't you? No. You get days off, don't you? No. You get a dental plan, though, huh? No. And he said, but you've had lots of fun and pleasure on your days off. No. Prince Ea says, well, let me show you something. Come here. The system and the new beast is based on a very careful engineered genetic breeding system. You have to have the right male with the right, female, to get the right offspring. If he breeds with the wrong female, you get the wrong offspring. You may cop a beast with an attitude, weak, a defect. You gotta have the right pairing. So, Prince Ea goes to the beast and says, come here a second. Come here a second, let me show you something. He takes them into the garden, and he gives them the knowledge of knowing each other away from the breeding schedule, away from the eyes of the overseers, and for one brief moment, for just a few seconds, he becomes like one of the gods. He is able to choose his pleasure when he wants, with who he wants, for as long as he wants, and the offspring and what is necessary to the system becomes unimportant. And you know what? The beast liked it. He liked to bunk. And Lord Ea goes, you like it? And he says, go show some of your friends. And the beast went around and he began to show his other friends that they could bonk. They could bonk away from the schedule and away from the eyes of the lords. They could bonk whenever they wanted, for as long as they wanted, and with whoever they wanted. In their wretched, miserable lives of serving the system and dying in the fields, for a few moments they had pleasure. And it revolved around bonking. So, one day, Lord Enlil, Lord of the Word, summons the beast. And he says, look, female beast, male beast, come here. I've got a job for you about 3 miles away. There's a couple of boulders, and they're full of gold. I want you to go over there, pick them up, bring them over here. They got to get on the ship, and it's going to be leaving in 1 hour. Got to pick up that boulder, get it on the ship, chop, chop, go. The male and the female beast hold hands when they trot off to go get the gold. Due back in an hour. They come back 4 hours later. No boulder. Now, Enlil, Lord of the Word, has a fit. What is the matter with you? I sent you out there. It's now 4 hours. You missed the damn ship. There's no boulder. I gave you the command and you didn't do it. I am really upset. Get the hell out of the garden. I never want to see you again. Kicked him out of the garden. And he's waters. I don't understand what's going on. These beasts isn't the only time this has happened. Now, every time I turn around, the beasts are doing whatever they want to do and they're not following him. Suddenly, you hear some rustling in the bushes. And he sneaks over, pries apart the bushes in the garden, and there's 2 beasts in there, and they're bunky. What are you doing? What is the matter with you? Don't you understand that you're going to ruin the experiment? Who knows what kind of offspring we're going to get if you continue to do this? Get the hell out of my garden. And he kicked him out. And the Lord of the Word Enlil, he begins to get us there. And I says, I knew it. I knew something was wrong. I knew I should never have trusted the beast. I knew I shouldn't have trusted my brother. That's it. My brother do. The Lord of Creation, Prince A, is the only one that could have gone into the garden. And he's the only one that could have taught the beast how to do this stuff. He is the one that busted up the system, that son of a... And so he got upset. The Lord of the Word asserted his command. And he said, henceforth, any beast who is caught donkey without my permission shall be cast out of the garden. When I pair the two of you together, it is a union that shall never be broken. It is a sacred and holy union, so saith I, the Lord of the Word, and thou must not break that union. Not only that, henceforth, Ea and everything attached to him shall be evil. He is against the system. He is against us. He is the most evil thing there is. The word for Lord is Baal. It's even used in the ancient Hebrew. Ea Baal is evil. Ea Baalik. Ea Baal is the root for diabolic. Diabol, diabolic, Diablo, which is the root for devil. What was evil was busting up the system, was ignoring the rules that maintained getting a damn check to the queen. What was the way? Very simple. The ancient ones misunderstood. Many of the ancient religious elders misunderstood when they said, and a prophet shall lead them. Henceforth saith the Lord of the Word, I am the only God. I am the only one. Thou shalt not have any other gods or lords before me. 2. Henceforth, every seventh day, your butt is going into one of my meeting halls, and there you will praise me. You will promise to be loyal to me. You will obey all of my commands. So saith I, the Lord of the Word. 3. If I ever walk in the garden and I hear any one of you whispering about me, anything nasty, if you call me names, if you in any way slur my integrity, henceforth thou shalt not use the name of the Lord in vain, or your butt's in hell, dude. And you know what, lady beasts? You remember how in the experiment we would take you into the birthing chambers and you could have your offspring and it didn't hurt? How, bitch? Go out there and have your baby and it's gonna hurt, lady, because you're not obeying my commands. So what am I saying, guys? The Lord of the Word issued commands to punish the beast who busted the system. Beast who did that was kicked out. He was called Adamus. Adamus literally meant a created monster. Adamus. And the female was kicked out of the garden. Let me sum this up quick. The stories about the Lord of the Word, the Lord of creation, the creator of man, is not one God. It's 3 separate entities. Olden prince, younger prince, and their sister. The commandments are literally commands issued to maintain the integrity of the system. It's designed to keep you serving. Now, doesn't this make a hell of a lot of sense? Well, let's take it further. Let's really piss some of you off. The beast got kicked out of the garden. Now, Prince Ea, Baal, the beast looks at Lord Ea. He is the Lord of those creation lines. What is that to a primitive beast? It's a snake. He's the Lord of the serpents. The Lord of the serpents snuck into the garden and seduced the beast by giving them the knowledge of knowing one another. That's the secret knowledge. The secret of the gods. The was evil. He left the garden, he left the system, and he was wandering around in a colony that he established. And he said, sis, I got an idea. See all these rejects over here? You see these rejects? Nobody wants them. The system doesn't want them. What would happen if we took a life form and we gave it free will, complete control of its destiny, able to dream and achieve its goals, to have the passion and the fire to achieve its goals? What would life do without a system? What an experiment. Free will. It could do anything. But sis says, bro, that's great, but they gotta live in the jungle. They gotta live with the other beasts. And you know what, bro? This is gonna be a problem. Because now they don't have a place to live. They don't have any breakthrough food. They don't have any medical care. What are they gonna do? I'll tell you what, bro. Some of them are gonna go back to the system. And they did. Some of the beasts are standing out here going like, oh, damn, there's lions out here. Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh, my. So they went back to the garden. And they said, Lord is the word in Lil, please, we want back in. And the Lord of the word in Lil says, thou may returnest every seventh day. You go and praise me. If you obey all of my commands, if you follow those regulations that I have established for the beasts, then you can return, and in this way and only this way shall you be redeemed. Redemption lies in obeying my word and using me, accepting me, the one and only God. And some of the beasts said, yo, in a second. But some of the beasts liked bunking. And the rules specifically forbade bunking. I mean, the question even the primitive beast has got to ask himself is, if I'm not supposed to bunk, why do I got a bunker? Prince Ea said, I got it. I know how to keep the beast from going back in the system. And I know how to fix the beast so that even if he does go back in the system, he's going to want to get back out. He's going to hate it inside the system. He's going to get frustrated. And I know how to do this. So he went to the beast. And remember, he's a genesis scientist. He took the DNA and he took that sexual stimulus response and he cranked it up. 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 So much that, you know, to this day, the reject beasts think about bunking. According to a nationals report, the reject beast likes to bunk, or at least think about bunking, every 10 minutes. Did you know that? And did you know that the latest national survey says that the average citizen of the United States, every 10 minutes, he goes, And then you eyebrow and, Every 10 minutes, the average citizen thinks about bunking. And Prince Ea counted on it. What am I suggesting to you? I'm suggesting to you, you're a reject. You blew the experiment. You don't like the system. As a matter of fact, you'd rather bonk than work. You'd rather bonk than pay your taxes. You'd rather bonk than pledge allegiance. As a matter of fact, you'd rather bonk than almost anything. Now, some of you are going like, you too, huh? I'll tell you something else. You're a reject, and it's built into your DNA to be frustrated with the system. You don't like what anybody tells you, thou shalt not. You don't care if it's your parents, you don't care if it's your husband, you don't care if it's the preacher in the pulpit, if it's the damn burning bush itself said, don't do it, you're gonna want to go and do it, because it's in your DNA, it is hardwired, guys. You wouldn't be in this workshop, you wouldn't be participating in any new philosophy, any new discipline, if you weren't a damn renegade reject. Renegade, dude. That's what you're here for. Now, there are some beasts who love the system. And when they retire, they get their gold watch, they get their little retirement home, they have their little boat so that they can go to the lake. They're very good at business, they're very religious, they're very conformity to the system, and this is not a criticism. Obviously, I'm a reject. I don't like the system and I love the funk. This is what happened. This is how we were created. This is what religion is about. They took this story and they twisted it. Yes, you know what? If you obey all the commands, you are going to get a reward. And you are going to be taken care of. And you are going to have a job. And you are going to have money. And you're going to have a retirement fund. You're going to have a gold watch after 20 years. But you're not going to be allowed to bonk when you want with who you want. It's about serving the system versus serving your own free will. But we're getting dangerously close to pizza time. But,
Are you sure?
okay, but Bible is a crock. There are some historical truths in it, but it's been twisted and it's been manipulated. I'm going to take a break here in a second, but I want to leave you with this thought. There are some beasts that were intelligent. Prince Ea went to some of these beasts and said, you know what? You're pretty good at this stuff. You got a great memory. And you're able to, in simple terms, relay the information and the teachings that I'm trying to convey. So, remember the term Zeus, which means ultimate master? The diminutive of Zeus is Su. It means a master, but not the ultimate master. Several of the beasts became very good at conveying the information, the teachings of Ea to other beasts. They became known as Easu, teachers who knew about the renegade way, who knew about busting up the system. Easu is the root for Iesu. Now, who is that, Stu? Let's say it's Jesus. Iesu, you're correct. Iesu is, as the one that we recognize, is Jesus. Please, look at the Bible. Look at the Dead Sea Scrolls and some of the new information they get. Jesus was a maverick. Jesus said, don't go into that damn church and pray like the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the hypocrites. He said, go home, man. He said, go into your closet. He wanted to bust up the system. He went into the temple and went after the money changers. He was a renegade. He was pissed. He was against the system. He was an Easu. They painted a target on his forehead, and he went out there and was trying to speak to the masses, and what did they do? They nailed his butt to the cross. Tell me why. I'm going to stop doing this on February the 1st of 96. What? Tell me why. I sure as hell ain't going to get nailed on the cross. Pizza time. 10 minutes. No.
That's 4 large vegetarian.
Blasphemous, heathen, outrage, antichrist, Satan, map, bomb in there. Right. Okay.
I do need a cup.
One of the reasons that I hit people between the eyes and then explain afterwards is I want to see who wants to make assumptions about what I have said. Please, I think I even prefaced it before I began the last sentence. I didn't say that there is no omnipotent, wonderful, benevolent God. I didn't say that we don't have spirituality, consciousness, and awareness. I said we began that way. I said the Bible is a pot. That I will stand by. It's designed to manipulate and keep you in the system. Yeah, if you like that, you're gonna get the rewards. My guess is that you're demented renegade rejects. Okay? So, let's now go into the third segment of where are they now? What if the story that I have been presenting is, what if Zacharias Sitchin, what if all these ancient civilizations visited by extraterrestrials, what if it's real? Where are they now?
Here. They're here.
Okay. You read it. You read it, Sarah.
Why don't we remember these things? Why are there no records? What's going on here, guys? I mean, most of you probably, what I really enjoy is I'm sitting here and I'm telling you the stories and I'm watching you going like, yeah, remember this, man. I knew this. Maybe I didn't have the right words. Maybe I didn't say it the same way, but I'm going like, you knew this, didn't you? Yes. On a gut level, this stuff is going like, I knew it, man. I knew it. Okay. Let me give you something that I hope, if all this is making sense, watch what happens. This is the situation we're in now. You remember Prince Enlil, you remember Prince Ea, you remember Neen Hersag, you remember the Wolf King and the Reptilian Queen. Well, there was the son of Lord Ea. His name, in all the history books, is Marduk. Okay? Marduk is the firstborn son of Prince Ea, who all the ancient texts refer to as Enki. But if you look in all of the ancient languages, Egyptian, Sumerian, and Babylonian, the term Mar, or literally M-R, means son of or offspring. One of you's going off.
Phone home.
M-R literally means son. Son of what? Duke, which is Dach. He is a son or an offspring of the Dach. That is what he was named after. Marduk is Marduk. Alright. Marduk, who had the throne of earth denied him because of Enlil, who... Pardon me? Marduk left. He got into a lot of trouble. Let me give you about a 2 or 3 minute synopsis here of some history. You're going to love this stuff, but I got to make it very quick and very concise. So Marduk wanted to become the king of earth. Unfortunately, he was descended from Enki. Enki ended up being the Diavolo. He was the devil. He ended up being the evil one. So Marduk was never going to ascend to the throne. However, there was a period of time where Marduk has an influence and he had his own empire. He had his own kingdom. He was attempting to get to the throne by undoing Enlil. However, Enlil had his own family, and he had in particular a granddaughter, and her name was Isis, also known as Ishtar. Ishtar was a neat little bitch. She was one of the most scheming, devious, cunning little witches you've ever seen in your lives. She also wanted to ascend to the throne. She was on the Council of 12 at the very bottom. Her ranking was 5. The grandfather Anu was 60. Marduk only had a ranking of 30. Isis, Ishtar, wanted to become the queen and take over everything. So she conspired to undo her grandfather. She had a twin brother. His name was Sin. Sin and his sister attempted to undo Enlil and to undo their father. However, it failed. Sin was punished. He was banished to the moon. He had to live there. Ishtar, Isis, was very unhappy. So she decided, well, in that case, I'm going to go after the son of Enki. The youngest name, his name was Dumuzi. Ishtar, Isis went to go marry Dumuzi. Marduk's youngest brother was Dumuzi. He went to go arrest Dumuzi to keep him from marrying Ishtar. Ishtar, however, plotted and planted an ambush. When Marduk's forces went to go arrest his own younger brother, the younger brother was assassinated by his own wife, Ishtar Isis, so she engineered the death of her fiancé. She, however, planted all the evidence on Marduk, and he was accused of killing his younger brother. Marduk ended up conducting a war to protect himself. He went into the pyramid with his fortress. He hid inside. He was sealed inside the pyramid. He became the great hidden god Amen. However, Marduk had another name. Amen-Ra. Okay? Now, this scenario, unfortunately, it's in Terra 2. Terra 2 is not complete yet. We haven't printed it, but you can find references to it in the Earth Chronicles, the 12th planet. Ra-Marduk, also known as Amen-Ra, sealed up in the pyramid. He was able to escape. He fled into the heavens, and he vowed that someday he would come back. Ishtar Isis decided to go and seduce her grandfather, her grand uncle, Prince Ea. She went, she seduced him, she got him drunk, she stole the tablets of destiny. Brother Enlil and Prince Ea had to go and chase after Ishtar. They finally got her to give up the tablets. However, she vowed that she would someday come back and she would take over planet Earth and she would create her own empire. So she fled off into the heavens. When I hear that there is a force is going to save mankind, going to rescue you, take you to paradise, and it's called the Ashtar Command. Bingo! In a moment, I absolutely know who's behind it and what's going to happen. Send me a postcard. Ra, what is crucial here, I gave you a really concise and probably confusing history, but I tell you, the history of the wolf people reads like a soap opera on steroids. You can't believe the stuff they get into. Anyway, Ra, please into the heavens. And how many of you have seen Stargate? Okay, gotta see Stargate. Now, Ra comes back to planet Earth, and he gets rid of his dad, Prince Ea. He gets rid of Prince Enlil. He gets rid of Isis, Ishtar, Nin-Farsad. He gets rid of everybody. He cleans out the empire, and the only people that are allowed to say are those who obey him and pledge allegiance to Ra. Ra becomes the one and only sun god. He is the son of God. A prince born of the creator God who has to go away and he comes back. The second coming of the Lord Creator. What is that? Whoops. Now they're getting younger and younger all the time. Ra comes back with a new ally. He has new backing. Someone who is willing to underwrite his revolution, someone who is willing to move in with him and undo the Syrian kings. Now, what person could possibly be willing to underwrite and undermine the Syrian kings? Clue number one, what is the headgear that Ra wears? What do you see in Stargate? What does that hood look like, and what the hell's on the front of it? This says a virtual snake. A reptilian queen.
Yeah, Henry that.
The queen says, "You've screwed with my check enough." And she takes Ra into her fold and says, "Go down there, dude, and do it for me." And Lord God Ra becomes the one and only God on Earth. But the reptilian queen ain't dumb. She knows you don't trust the Wolfman. So she sends some of her distant relatives, some reptilian hybrids, created specifically to serve and obey the queen. Right? They are called Shetu. Little lizard hybrids who follow and obey the queen's commands. Now, the Shet-2 hybrid beasts also were created to serve the system. And one of the things that they were extremely good at was manipulating the stone cutting machinery. They became master stone cutters. They could use the equipment and cut blocks so square, so precise, when you put them together, you couldn't slip a piece of paper between them. The stone cutters, as a matter of fact, Enlil and Prince Ea actually used some of the Shet-2 before they even created the beast. In other words, there were Shet-2 hybrids on planet Earth working for the Syrian king and now for Ra, even before man was born. The Shet-2. This is the key. The administrators of Ra, the reptilian queen's insurance that Ra would always obey. Ra, egocentric sucker, comes in and says, I am from now on the one and only God. And we have proof. We can show that Ra went in, he changed the hieroglyphs, he changed stone inscriptions, he changed the stelae, he changed the pyramid inscriptions to make himself the one and only God. From that moment that he took the throne, there would be no other God before him. He eliminated the existence of any other Syrian king, of any wolf king. No one existed before Ra. He changed the records. But there's a problem. We can change the records and show that there was never any president before Bill Clinton. Every single book, every single videotape, we can do that. But there is a problem. Memories. You've got hybrid beasts that are working for the system. You've got reject beasts that are working hand in hand with the system. There is a long time period here that we have basically skimmed over. But now there are some Adama beasts on the outside of the system. There are some Adapus beasts on the inside. We are now in basically the period of 6000 BC. It was civilized. There were humans everywhere. They're like, some of them, cockroaches. And I like them, but they're here to stay. So, Ra changes the records. But you got the memories. Now what? Ra says, guys, don't you have a technology that would allow me to eliminate memories? Oh yeah, a technology. Reprogramming the brain. The reptilians aren't famous spirits. Let's reprogram the brains. So, Lord Ra calls the Shet-2 stonecutters. They were loyal, obedient slaves. And he said, guys, I want you to erase their memories. I want you to set up a reprogramming center, and I want you to march them in there one by one or in groups, and I want you to reprogram their brains so that they will never remember anything above and beyond my existence. There will be no memory beyond the year 6000 BC, according to the way we refer to time frame. The Shet-2 lizards began to take row number 1, and they marched them down a long, dark tunnel into the reprogramming center where the lights were bright. You need a lot of light to reprogram brain. And the beasts that were marched in there, they came out, yes sir, Lord God Ra, the one and only God Ra, there was no other God before thee, I shall obey you no matter what. I says, yes sir, anything you say. Obedient. And they couldn't remember anything before Ra, but they had one memory. It was a long tunnel, the bright light at the end. They remembered that. But it nagged them, it bothered them. But they all had. And the Shet-2 lizards were given free rein, complete liberty to do anything necessary to get all of the hybrids and all the residents of planet Earth and to march them into that damn tunnel. Lord God Ra and the reptilian queen said, look, you promised them food. You promised them all their loved ones who had ever been in their lives and passed away, they're going to be at the end of the light. You promised them an orgy, you promised them heaven, you promised them anything it takes to get them into that damn light. You have complete and total free hand getting them into that tunnel. And from the day they were born, they were taught, go to the light. Your loved ones are there. Paradise is there. They go into the light and everything will be okay. And it was. Because when they died, sent into the reprogramming chamber, they were brought back, put into another physical body, back to work, obeying the system, doing whatever was necessary, and pledging allegiance and paying their taxes. Law, nagging, toe, and their memories. Shit. Well, some of the beasts, particularly, remember the ASU? The ASU said, oh man, all that stuff we learned from Prince Aeon, we're going to lose it. We're going to lose it. Now, what would you do if you knew that you were going to end up being forced into a programming center and you were going to be forced to be reprogrammed and you were going to forget, but you needed to somehow leave a memory job? Sneak into a cave and make some marks. You put down some sort of a symbol and you put it in the deepest, darkest cave away from the big cities. Someplace where weather and time is not going to damage it. Because maybe someday somebody's going to climb into a cave and they're going to see the lift and they're going to go, whoa, I remember this, man. I remember this. So some ASU began to plant clues everywhere they could. But some of the ASU, they said, you know what? What if Earth is swept clean somehow? Where else can we put us to be sure? There's the moon. There's Mars. Let's send an ASU. Get up to the planet Mars. We'll leave a monument. Let's build a face. Let's build a pyramid. Let's put the mathematical formulas. Let's put our science into these monuments. So that someday maybe the beast is going to break me and somebody's going to go up there and suddenly there's a damn face on Mars and they're going to go, whoa. And somebody's going to remember, and somebody's going to figure out the science of it. You got that next. We're going to remember this story. So, they did. And those ASU run into the tunnels. They were reprogrammed. And they came out serving the system. All right. So what? Very simple. The ship, too, we're stonemasons. Well, what? Stonemasons. Stonecutters. That was their original assignments. But they were given free hand to do anything necessary to get the beast into that reprogramming center. All right. In time, the Shet 2 said, "O Ra, thou once and only God who is dependent on us to do everything necessary, whom our Lord Queen said it's okay for you to be the king." Excuse me. We want it back. And they kicked out Lord Ra. But Ra have already figured out they're setting me up. So he said, who can I trust? The administration of the kingdom and my money. Who can I trust? So Lord Ra took the administration of the kingdom, removed it from the Shetu. Now this is before the rebellion, and he said, you know what? There are a couple of priests I can trust. These priests were known as, you're right. The term then was Perea. We now call it Pharaoh. Oops. The Pharaoh. They were entrusted with the administration of the kingdom. The money he gave to his children. All of my offspring, you hold the money, you control the money, we'll be okay, the Shetu lizards won't get it. Ra, in becoming the one and only God, the one and only Father, was known as Ra Ka. which literally means father essence, the ultimate body. In approximately 6,000 BC, Ra turned over the money to Ka. Suffix M means of, offspring, the children of. However, Ka'um eventually became Kam, but Kam was an ancient word for shield. Okay? Now, Marcelo Hutz, this real. It's a coincidence. The administration of the empire was turned over to the Raka Perea or the Raka pharaohs, and the wealth of the empire was given to the Ra Kam or the Ra's shields. In 6000 BC, the two most influential groups, the power groups, were the Raka pharaohs and the Ra's shields. It's funny, but it ought to scare the hell out of you. Could this be Raka pharaohs and Ra's shields in control of the money and the administration of the empire in 6000 BC, 8,000 years ago? And isn't it a coincidence that we now have Rockefellers and Ra's shields? Is that possible, Robert? I don't know. In your fight. Alright, Mr. Eeyore. Let's try a couple more things on these here. Let's begin to develop who the Shetu are. The Shetu undid Ra. And in fact, they went after the Raka pharaohs and they went after the Ra shields and they reprogrammed most of them. Some of the Raka pharaohs and some of the Ra shields said, yo, dude, do them. I'll do anything you want. You leave me just my money and leave me alone. Some of them sold out. Now, Shetu became the government, the administrative government for the reptilians. Okay, the reptilian cliques. Would it surprise you if Shetu, the Shetu government, is the root of the term shadow or the shadow government? Added? Who are the Shetu? They were stone masons. But did you know that the secondary interpretation of Shetu is free? Remember, they have free hand, free liberty. They were the free Masons. Now, coincidence. How many presidents, how many kings, how many queens, how many influential societies throughout mankind's history are all members of the Freemasons? Even as there's only two that aren't. Curiously, the Shetu were the first Freemasons. Now, but who are these little lizard dudes? What if I told you that further interpretations of the word Shetu, Shetu literally means to seize or to abduct. Now, try to imagine this. Little lizard hybrids. Take a lizard, put it on its hind legs. Very thin body. Long, thin arms and legs. But a dinosaur head, they seize, they abduct, they take you in, they reprogram you. They're the shadow government. They're everywhere you turn around. And you know what they look like? Graves.
Oh my God.
I am going to suggest to you We are where we are because of these guys. They were the original Freemasons. They're the original shadow government. They're the ones that reprogram. They're the ones that abduct. They're the ones that seize. And I am really sorry, but when I hear stories about abductions by Greys, and it's all for some benevolent experiment to create some wondrous star being in the future, I'm sorry, that's a crock. That's the party line. You're supposed to believe that abductions are good. You're supposed to believe that going into the tunnel is good. Doesn't it bother you that everybody said, go into the light? But you know what? I'm going to stand in front of you. I'm going to say, don't go into the damn light. When you go in that tunnel and you see that damn light, here's the suggestion. Turn around. Look out here. Because you don't have to go in there. You can go out there, and you know what's out there? The universe. And galaxies. And there's another light out there. You know what that light is? You. That's in your light. That's the light you go into, man. It's your renegade, reject, bunk-loving light. And if I'm wrong, turn around. Go back into the light. Because if it is wondrous, if it is love, if it is benevolent, damn it, it'll still be there. Sir.
As anybody that has read all these abduction stories, isn't it unusual that benevolent, wonderful is supposed to be, you know, POTUS cares it, you know, private death. But yet they control their mind, or they can't move and can't do anything, or paralyzed. Wouldn't it be appropriate as they were benevolent being, they try to cool the pink love, maybe just the hell into
Daniel, look, if these guys are benevolent, why don't they just show up Central Square? I said, guys, we're here to help you. If they are on our side and they want to guide us away from our own atomic destruction, why don't they just show up and say, guys, you're screwing up? If they're benevolent, they're gonna be here. But why are they always behind the scenes? Why, even in Whitley Strieber's book, Convenient, why, when he's being abducted, he says, I know it's love, I know it's light, I know it's wonderful, I know if it's for our benefit, why am I so scared? Because it's a crock. Because they don't want you to know the truth. Because you're being programmed in schools, you're being programmed in churches, you're being programmed everywhere. Go into the damn light. Love and light, wonder and peace. I absolutely agree with you. You love it. But you know what? You're not going to achieve love and light and peace until you realize what they're selling. They're selling obedience to the light. Screw it. I'm going to suggest to you, you're light. One grand and harmonious universe. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Great. Screw it. I don't want one grand harmonious universe, because that implies you and I and everybody, we gotta think alike, we gotta look alike, we gotta do the same thing, we gotta like the same thing. And so you know what? I don't want one harmonious universe. I want one universe for every single person in this room and anybody who wants one. I want billions and billions and billions of universes. You do whatever you want to your universe, but I'm gonna do the same. And once in a while we're gonna get together, we're gonna dance, we're gonna powwow, we're gonna share, and then when it's over, I'm going home. I don't want one harmonious universe. I understand the premise, but it doesn't allow for an individual. So, I am the anathema of the New Age love in my veins and brotherhood. You're not going to achieve. Look, if the light worked, and this is my opinion, I'm sorry, my opinion, but if the light worked, if pure innocent love worked, why are babes, infants, suffering these horrendous abuses? Why are the first ones that get hurt the children? Why do nuns and priests wrapped in love and light, unconditional love and light, why are they the first ones killed on the front lines? If love and light worked, you could wrap yourself in the love, you could walk across the freeway over here and you wouldn't be touched. Well, here's a secret, guys. Light is simply Sa. Prince Aya said, wrap yourself not in light, enlightenment. The way to get across that freeway is to learn about cars and trucks and brakes in the traffic and wait for the stop sign, wait for it to say walk, and then you go. Because if you wrap yourself in this blind light and take a step, your ass is mush. Awareness, enlightenment, wisdom, and knowledge. If wrapping yourself in the light would work, you could plop yourself down in a rattlesnake cage in a den and you'd never get bit. Sorry. Smart thing to do is to know which snake you can sleep next to. Don't be judgmental. I'm sorry. Judgmental means making a decision. And until you make a decision, you're not going to take control of your life. Now, here's one to piss some of you off.
Some more.
Don't go into the light. Get trapped. Go after your likes. Make judgments. Trust your guts. It's okay to get pissed, and it's okay to hate. It is a valid emotion. It's okay to go, yuck, shit, I'm going this way. That's their universe. This is mine. My judgment, my gut says I gotta do this. There is an experiment called free will, and it depends upon rejects. It depends upon renegades who are willing to follow their passion and say, screw it, gets a judgment call, I'm judgmental. Screw Clinton, I don't care how nice he is, I'm going over here. On the other hand, pledge allegiance to Clinton, she'll have a job, civil service, and you'll never be a disgruntled coastman. Am I making sense here?
Yes.
I'm asking you to make judgments. Asking you to trust your gut. What I am hoping happens here is you go, I remember that. I knew this. It's in your gut and it's being true. But if this is a crock, when I'm saying it's a crock and I'm the Antichrist, hey, go for it. I'm sitting here telling you I'm on Prince Aya's side. I'm on the side of Da'ea Ba'el. I suppose that makes me diabolic. I lied. And I like to break rules, and I don't mind screwing the government. As a matter of fact, I'm going to recommend ripping off the bank. Wouldn't that be great? Tell me you haven't thought about holding the bank. Lie to me and tell me you haven't thought, wouldn't that be great? Guys, you're just like me. We're rejects. We don't like the system. We've been reprogrammed. These guys are in charge, and they're still here. You had a question?
I have a comment.
You have a comment?
Very informative comment. You said do not go to the light.
Yes.
So there are 3 books by Bob Monroe with the Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences in Virginia. He took 35 years, almost 40 years of his research out of the body who never went to the light. Never. He found his lights out there. He found himself, pieces of himself. So now what you're saying is really making sense.
Well, I hope so, because you know what? I mean, doesn't it bother you that everybody says, don't come and go to the light? But I'm also going to tell you that some people who go to the light are going to have wondrous experiences. As a matter of fact, I know 2 individuals who said they've been abducted by grays and it was marvelous. It was wonderful. And you know what? If this person, one of us, goes into the light and is set back, and she's programmed to tell us it's a great thing, that's the point. Trying to do anything they can to get us into the light, to allow for the abductions, to permit the craze. We're being sold. Now, if it works for you, it's okay. But I'm suggesting there's a trap. If there really were benevolent ETs out there, why aren't they in our living rooms and on TV helping us? Why are they always hidden? Why is the government trying to say there's no such thing as a UFO? When what we should be asking is, who are they and what are they doing here? That's what's crucial. And they're saying no such thing as ETs, and some of them are benevolent and some of them are... Well, look, yeah, there are some good guys. There are a hell of a lot of bad guys. And these guys are the ones that are trying to keep the system going, and they're trying to keep us under control. And every once in a while, a renegade star system says, let's go down and screw the lizards. Remember Balea. This means Lord. Lord Ea. He said, screw it. My son came in, he kicked me out. My brother kicked me out. My dad's upset with me. Planets and worlds, the reptilian creed. I mean, I think I've got it bad because I've worked against a lot of systems, but man, he took on worlds, he took on empires, he took on a galaxy. And he said, I at it. So he fled to another star system. He found a fledgling star system, barely a few billion years old. That's nothing. And he took over the system and he said, all right, here's the rule. One rule. There are no rules. Rejects, renegades, pissed off to the system, people, you can come to my star system. Tesh means a gathering place. It is actually literally means a holy place, like a church. He fled to a star system and created a new colony. It was called Balea Tesh. This star system was comprised of renegades, of rejects from star systems from all over. They gathered there. Every once in a while, they are perhaps the most instrumental in coming down and attempting to break up the system. Now, good piece of the star system Balea Tesh.
Oh, wow.
Pleiades. Balea Tesh. Pleiadians are good guys in that they want to undo the system. But there are Pleiadians who said to screw the system, we need some help, we need some money, we need whatever. There are good guys, there are bad guys. But for the most part, the Pleiadians are the race at the core of trying to undo the lizards. Well, one day, not too long ago, they set down a ship with some scouts looking for a break, a chink in the armor of the reptilians, the lizards. And they found a corridor where there's a tremendous amount of trowel, very crucial to the lizards. It's like I-10, the Peshma 10. There's a corridor that runs through the Four Corners area. And they were looking for a way to break down the system, this corridor. Unfortunately, they themselves got caught behind the lines. They were attacked. The ship was downed. It crashed in approximately the Four Corners area of Utah, New Mexico, Colorado, and Arizona, and it came down in August of 1947. Who was in the ship?
Well,
Sorry to live like. I said mine. What I am suggesting to you overall, if you were Raw and got kicked out, would you want to come back? If you were in Lil and got kicked out, would you want to come back? Do you think the Wilt people want to come back from Sirius to take over the solar system? The reptilian queen constantly has those who want to undo her. Do you think the lizards might turn on her? I'm suggesting this to you. But there is a war on right now for planet Earth. We happen to be the guardians and the tenders of planet Earth. It is our task to go along with the prize. And it is absolutely necessary that when you fight over the farm, you do not disturb the beast who maintains the farm. You must not allow the beast to witness the wars. You must not allow him to be disturbed. You must not break the system or the farm. There is a war, and we are the prize. And the one, here is something I'm going to leave you with this, and then I'll answer about the Star Wars. We'll go to questions and answers. Lord Ea, when he finally fled to the Pleiades, Balea fish, he said, you know what, man? Wow. I got to give it a shot. I got to do something. I have a beast who is not aware, who doesn't have a soul, who doesn't have a consciousness. He's a beast. Why can't I get that last little spark, that fire, that passion that would really make him an independent free will being? So, he couldn't come up with something until one day he's approached. He's approached by beings from another planet, from another galaxy. And in that galaxy, there is no system. These beings had, in their evolution, left the need for physical body. They had learned to use internal energy. They had learned to use their internal essence to climb the mountain. They didn't need a boat. They didn't need a ship. They didn't need steps. They were able to use their own energy. And as they used more and more internal energy, they needed less and less density. The Syrians and the reptilians said, screw using my internal energy, let's just build a damn escalator. So, these beings from another galaxy take the evolutionary formula and plug in a bird. A humanoid bird. As they evolved, these beings lost their density. They lost their need for a physical body, but you know what? They liked. So, for courtship purposes, they retained bare wings. But in the dark, when there's no sunlight, the energy beings glow. And they came to Prince Ea. I said, do you really want to give him passion? Do you really want to give him independent free will? And I'll tell you what they do. We're going to give you one of our own strands of DNA. And you hardwire it into the beast. And you're going to condemn him to passion. An unexplicable fire. And Prince Ea said, in a second, dude. And he took that DNA, he went to the beast, fired into the VC. And suddenly, the beast, the primitive beast, went, wow, man. You know what? There's more than feels in the minds, man. There's a galaxy, there's stars. There was a consciousness. Suddenly, he was linked with another race in another galaxy. Suddenly he was aware, he was conscious, and there was this thing inside him. These things were called Aku. The gift that was given to Prince Ea that was placed inside of the beast was known as the gift of the feather. Now, Ea in ancient hieroglyphs, long A, is written as a hand extended out. Short A was written as a feather. Ea in ancient hieroglyphs is a hand extending a feather. The gift of the feather was that strand, that filament of DNA that makes you go, wow. It's about love. It's about irrationality. It's about fire. It's about knowing it's not good for you, but doing it anyway. Because your fire wants you to do that. The Aku said, Prince Ea, please let your beasts know this. We're going to include a hardwired clue into this strand of DNA so that they will know, because they've never experienced this, you're going to know how and when you're in touch with your passion. When you're one with your fire, here's what's going to happen to the beast. He's going to see feathers. They're going to manifest in front of him. He's going to dream about feathered beings. He's going to have feathered beings in his life. Birds will fly in. Suddenly the feather is going to become a crucial part of his existence. And people who are one with their fire, one with their passion, they have dreams. And they go, whoa, an Indian guide. No. It's not cool. But what we on this planet recognize as a person constantly wrapped in feathers is an Indian. It's not correct. It's an coup. The gift to the feather is this. One with your fire, feathers are going to fall out of the sky. You're going to dream about feathered beings. Birds are going to appear. Feathers are going to appear in the middle of your living room floor. Feathers will be everywhere. It is the aku. Now remember, the K sounds like a G. Ahu. They became known as Lord Ea's lords. Prince Ea's title was Enki, Lord of Earth. Lord Ea's lords were the Enkiels. The Enkiels. Angels who are responsible for the passion, who are responsible for that irrational, logical fire. It's the gift that came from them. But ain't enough. Prince Ea says, wow, I got a beast, man, unleashed. Fire unleashed. Now what are you going to do with that? Prince Ea said, I only got one thing left to do, there. Prince Ea, eldest son of the Syrian king responsible for the lordship of planet Earth and the solar system in this neck of the woods, Prince Ea pricked his finger and he took his own DNA, he mixed it with the beast's, and in doing that, the reject became a son of the Lord Creator. He was an offspring of the God of creation himself. Lord Ea endowed us through his own DNA with the right of royalty. We can assume the damn throne of planet Earth and our own solar system. We have the right to assume control of our planets. And we have the fire, we have the passion, and you know what? The system says, Jesus Christ, don't let them know this story. Because if 51% of them stand up and say, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore, I want the aliens out, I want the Greys out, I have a right to the throne of this planet, we're going to take over and we have a right to do it. And you know what? We're going to make it a free will, passionate, bulk-loving empire. The system doesn't want it. That's why you're being denied, manipulated, steered, and controlled. God bless. And the lizard said, oh shit. What if they find out about the story? What are we gonna do? And one of the lizards says, I got an idea. Let's take the story of the Death Star. Let's take the story of the rebellions. Let's take this whole story and let's go to him, and while he's asleep, let's reprogram his mind. Let's put it into his mind, and when he wakes up, he's gonna go, hey, I got a great idea. I've got an idea. And his name is Steven. And Steven creates a movie. And he builds a Death Star. And he builds on the screen the rebel story. And then one day, some maverick engine goes, hey, listen to this story. And he jumps up, whoa, wait a minute. I made that up. It came to me in a dream. I made the damn thing up. It's my story. No. That was Atlantis. and I'm going to plant in her mind story of Minotaurs, unicorns, and you write the book. And then when somebody says, unicorns are real, and the Minotaur was real, and she said, no, wait a minute. I made it up. Guys.
No. You were reprogrammed. So here's what I'm going to suggest to you. It's the very same thing I started with last night.
Myth is reality. History is fabrication. Churches are a crock. So Bible is a crock. You've been lied to, you've been deceived, you've been manipulated. Go to the jail light, you're going to be reprogrammed, you're going to come back and you're going to pay your taxes faithfully and loyally every single day. You're going to pledge allegiance, you're going to get your watch after 20 years. This is all a crock. But here's my saving grace. I believe with all my heart and soul, with that damn irrational fire, as some of you know what I'm telling you. It's gotta be reverberating inside your bones, going like, oh, I knew it. I knew I had a reason to believe in unicorns. I knew I liked Minotaur and legends, and I knew Disney was right when he built the story of the Beauty and the Beast, and I love Star Wars because I remember it. Am I making any sense, guys? Good. Because we've been lied to. Because we've had our own world, our lives taken away from us. We're not in control of our lives, guys. That is why we go after New Age philosophies. That is why we go to workshops. That's why we're always seeking and looking with a valid intent. And there are some good teachers out there, and they address minor little points here and there. And I don't disagree with them. I think they're right. But you know what I'm going to suggest is crucial? We need to know this whole story so that we can reclaim our planet and reclaim our lives. Now tell me why I'm going to quit.